You're looking to move to Brickell in 2025. Here are 5 things you need to look out for. Number one, you need to look in the surrounding area, look at all the lots touching the building that you are looking at, because there are more than 24 new towers coming just to the Brickell area. So you got to check out the surrounding buildings that are coming and how they will impact your building. Number two, HOA assessments. This is the big conversation right now across South Florida, across the state really, but particularly South Florida, being there's so many old condos. You need to check the association, have the seller or the seller's agent talk to the building and get the meeting minutes that the building puts out for all the owners. And do look through that, or have somebody look through that to understand what the budget the building is running, how much and assessments are they're looking at down the road, any future projects that they're looking at. Those numbers can significantly impact your budget down the road. You think you could be paying one monthly HOA payment, but then they can slap on significant numbers above that because it's a huge building and it needs to be done. And the new state regulations are forcing a lot of buildings to do these things. Number three, it would also include the HOA. You need to consider what the HOA rules are. Every building is slightly different in terms of rentability, upgrades, and renovations you want to do. Everyone handles that process a little bit differently. So do look at that and do understand kind of what the rules and regulations are of the building you're looking at. It's important to understand that before you get in and are wanting to do some upgrades to the unit. Number four, I would say views. A lot of times people coming out here to South Florida want just a pure east view. It is the premium view that most buildings offer. In a lot of cases, it is the better view to have the east side. But depending on the building and the positioning, sometimes having that west view and that sunset view actually is a little bit better and something more interesting to look at. There are areas that it's just an east view, and at night it is pure black out in the bay and the ocean. There's really nothing to look at. And so during the day, it is jaw-dropping views, but at night you have nothing. So sometimes having the west view actually can be really nice depending on the building, even though it will be significantly hotter in your unit having a west view. So just take that into account, that the west views will always be a lot hotter, especially in the summer. And lastly, number five, I would say look at the floor plans and the space. There seems to be a little bit of a ratio that the buildings around the 2008 up to like 2014, that era of buildings, the units generally have a lot more square feet than anything newer than like 2016 and up. The newer buildings, a lot of the developers were trying to maximize the number of units, and they were decreasing the total square feet per unit. So it's a way that they can charge more per unit, but in retrospect, it also is, to me, a deterrent to some of the buildings, because I don't necessarily need to be in the most luxurious building if I am sacrificing almost 30% of the space. I would rather go to a building from the 2008 era that I know has a lot more space. Maybe they need some upgrades, but their prices are generally lower than the ones from the 2015, 16, 17, even 2020. And so you can budget in some updates and renovations. And with new floors, like cabinetry, doors, and painting, you basically have a completely new unit. So I would really look at the comparison of going for a much newer building. It is a big trend here in South Florida. People want to be in the shiny new buildings, but I don't always recommend them if you are wanting a little bit more space or a home office space to be able to set up at home. The 2008 era buildings really offer a lot more square feet. So if you're looking to move into the Brickell neighborhood, please take these things into account. You need to do your research. There have been significant changes with state regulation that can impact the budget per building, and not every building was running their budgets and their maintenance at the best and most efficient way. So some buildings have had a lot of that maintenance build up on them, and it is significantly impacting those unit owners and people that are looking in this market. So do your research, and if you have any questions, please reach out to us.